Hi! Have you ever been in the middle of a project when ruh-roh, it looks like the cutting blade for your paper trimmer has chewed the paper instead of cutting it? Well, today I'm going to share with you 3 tips to try to make your paper trimmer blades last longer. For my 3 tips to make your paper trimmer blades last longer, I'll be using the cutting blade from the Stampin' Trimmer. I'm Shelley Godby, the owner and CEO of Stamping Smiles, and for 18 years I've been teaching others how to create their own hand stamped smiles, but even so, I expect my tips will work with paper trimmers that are similar. There's been a lot of discussion lately about the cutting blades for the Stampin' Trimmer because the well-designed Stampin' Trimmer is being discontinued only because of supplier issues for the cutting blades. So let's look at 3 tips to make your paper trimmer cutting blades last longer. My first tip to make your paper trimmer cutting blades last longer has worked with both this style with the track and the cutting blade and a rotary cutter. So you've noticed when your blade gets dull, it looks like you've torn off the cardstock with your teeth instead of cutting through it. So here's a tip. Take a piece of scrap paper, and I tend to have a lot of that. I do a lot of printing and more than I need. So put that on the track and then your cardstock. So have that underneath, and what happens is, the way I understand it, is it then cuts through the cardstock, lets the blade cut through the cardstock, and what happens then is the paper is what looks like was torn off with the teeth, and so you get a nice clean cut. So give that a try. My second tip may be exclusive to the Stampin' Trimmer because the Stampin' Trimmer has a removable cutting mat. So the cutting mat has a groove in it and the blade runs down in the center of that. But at one time we had a rotary accessory, and so when you use the rotary you would put it to the flat side. So we have 2 that have the groove and 2 flat sides. And one of my friends, Stampin' friends, saw a tip to use this flat side to make your cutting blades last longer. And I tried it for over a year before I shared this tip, and for me it worked. Now when I did share it, it was met with some skepticism, and I get that, you know, don't do anything I ever tell you if it makes you uncomfortable. So, but to make this work, I did have to run the blade along it to scratch it up a little bit. And so I asked my husband, I said, why would this work? And so he thought about it. He's an engineer and knows materials really well. And even though the blade on here is quite tiny, he said, you know, what he believes is happening is the very tip of it is the hardest part. And so by using this, it's keeping that blade, letting us cut with that tip, the sharpest, hardest part of it. So that's a tip to try if you can get a flat surface with whatever paper trimmer you're using. I'm really excited about my third tip because I never thought about it until one of my sweet stampers asked if the cutting blades can be sharpened. Thought, oh, that's a really good question, and I can't wait to ask my husband. So I did, and he says, well, sure. He says, you can use an Arkansas oil stone or a diamond stone. He says, go grab our diamond stone. Well, we've had this, and you may well too, for over 30 years that he's been sharpening our knives with. So he showed me what to do. And so you just gently go along one side, turn around, and do the other because you want to do both sides. So there you go. Very simple, simple tip. And but be very careful because now you have a very sharp, pointy blade. And if you don't have an Arkansas oil stone or a diamond stone, I found them very inexpensively on Amazon, and I have a link to it. And so now you have 3 tips to help make your paper trimmer cutting blades last longer to try. I hope one or more of my tips will help extend the life of your cutting blades. And if you'd like more of my stamping tips, I invite you to subscribe to the Stampers Insider. It's your free stamping source for inspiration, information, and ideas. Just go now to www.thestampersinsider.com to subscribe. I'm Shelley Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching.